I'm back and I'm here with Michael Ryan, a volunteer for the Ann Arbor Street Art Fair, the original. Michael, why don't you tell us a little bit about why you wanted to be a volunteer at the art fair this year?
Well, booth sitter is the best gig at the art fair. You get to go around and see all the beautiful art, you get to talk to people, and you get to brag about the art because you're not the artist. It's always tough to brag about your own stuff, but I can call people in off the street and say, look at this, it's lovely.
Yeah.
That's why I come here.
Do you create yourself, or are you just like an art aficionado?
More of an aficionado. I like to write poetry, but I'd never read it.
It's all a secret. It's your
That's
secret. So what entails you go from booth to booth? They need a break. How does that work?
The artists can sign up for breaks, and they go in half-hour increments, and they can sign up for as many as they need, usually around lunch hour, sometimes in the afternoon. But I like to wander and just stop into booths and introduce myself and ask if they need a break. And they do. People need breaks. It's a hot day.
So you're a townie?
I am, yeah. I've lived in Ann Arbor for a number of years. I live on the south side. I live between Ellsworth and Eisenhower.
So it's interesting because a lot of times townies either love the art fair or they want to stay away from it because it's congested around here. What makes you really want to be a part of it? Because I think it's a great time of year. I love being at the art fair.
This is the best time of year. We have a whole summer full of the Ann Arbor Festival, A2SF. We have the art fair, and then we have festivals. So it's like a summer of love in Ann Arbor every summer. I couldn't imagine not being here and leaving because you can't find parking or you can't drive downtown for 3 days. Seems like a lot to me.
What's your favorite part about being a townie, living in Ann Arbor, and being a part of the community?
I love the art, I love the theater, I love the music, and I love the opportunity to have that any day that I want.
All right, well, thank you so much, Michael. It was nice meeting you.
It was nice to meet you, Dana. Thank you.
This is CTN at the 2023 Art Fair, and I am here with Diane Seaman.
Hi.
This is amazing work that we're surrounded by, very colorful, mixed media. Talk to me more about your process, inspirations maybe.
Hi, thanks. I am inspired by maps, traveling, aerial views looking down on land masses, and puzzles, and it's kind of a culmination of all those things, and I develop it with handmade paper, acrylic paint, acrylic paste, watercolor crayons, and color pencils, and I sand in between layers to reveal some of the organic texture from the paper.
Greasy pizza boxes.
Ugh, glass bottles not emptied.
Yogurt containers with... Ew! Cat food still in the can is bad.
But oh, so good.
Hey, what are you doing?
Relax, Mom. We're here to help.
Oh, this stuff could ruin the entire recycling load.
Wow, I had no idea.
Chill, we'll show you the ropes.
Michigan needs to recycle better, and that change starts with you. Learn the rules of recycling at recyclingraccoons.org.
CTN Sports, bringing local sports to you.
Dana Denha here, and this is CTN at the Art Fair. I'm here with David Mangles, a photographer, here at the Ann Arbor Art Fair. It's the Ann Arbor Street Art Fair, the original that you're at today.
That's correct, yes.
Is this your first year at the Art Fair? Have you done this before?
I have been doing this show now on and off for about the past 6 or 7 years. This is, I think, my second time in the original show, but I've been in all the shows throughout Ann Arbor over the years.
Wow, that's interesting that you've sort of bounced around to the different art fairs, because a lot of people don't even know that there are multiple art fairs.
Yeah, I have a long history with this show. I grew up in Southeast Michigan, so I came to this show for the first time back in the 70s when I was about knee-high. Wow. And then I went to the university during the 90s, so I was coming here all through then. And once I started doing this professionally, this was a show that I had to come back to just to complete that circle. So honestly, I've been coming to this show now for about the past 40 years.
Wow, that's crazy. A lot longer than I've been coming to the show. Why don't you talk about, you said you went to U of M?
Yes.
Did you go to U of M for art?
No, I did not. I was an LSA grad. I was in history at the time, and like any good historian, I did absolutely nothing with my degree. I had a corporate career after that, starting off in pharmaceuticals in this neck of the woods, eventually moved to Boston, eventually getting tired of doing the corporate thing and, turned to photography just to make something of myself, do something for my own, for my own entertainment, for my own just drive and passion.
Do you have any training in photography, or are you self-trained?
Entirely self-taught. I've been doing this now for about 10 years on the art fair circuit. And I started with some very good mentors and just worked hard to practice my craft, get better, go to more interesting places, and build up a portfolio of work. So.
Well, what are you using? Are you using like a DSLR? What kind of camera are you using?
Absolutely, that's a great question. A few cameras over the course of the years. My most common camera is a DLSR, so I shoot with Canon, a variety of full-frame digital cameras. A portion of my work is also done with drones at this point, so I do a bit of aerial photography, flying over places like Icelandic volcanoes or forest scenes in Vermont, things like that. So I find that the drones are a great way to find unique perspectives on the landscape that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, when you see drone footage, it's really amazing to sort of see something from that high up that you would not be able to see unless you were in like a helicopter or at the top of a mountain or something like that.
Exactly. There's a lot to be said for the bird's eye view of the world.
Yeah, totally. Do you find it's hard now to compete with cell phone cameras, because they're so, I mean, the technology in a cell phone camera is so amazing now?
Yeah, I mean, it's something where I will quietly laugh to myself if a guest comes into the booth and say, oh yeah, I can shoot that with a cell phone. So by all means, please help yourself and try. I mean, that being said, I mean, the best camera that anyone has is the one that's with you at the time, and for most people, that's a cell phone. And you can get good images with a cell phone camera these days, but by the same token, you can't print it like this, from a cell phone. So I don't worry about it too much.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it definitely takes a lot more skill to be shooting with the DSLR camera. It's got more nuances, it's got more features. You have to figure out a lot of the cell phone stuff. It's just like, oh, you want this filter? Do you want to change? Like, it's like doing it for you.
Exactly. I mean, when you are shooting with a cell phone, for the most part, you're depending upon a computer engineer to process your work for you. And that's what a JPEG does. It gives you a certain amount of saturation, a certain amount of contrast, and it does all the heavy lifting for you. Where the art of photography comes in is how I see the world and how I edit my images after the fact. And that's something that most people that are shooting with a cell phone never bother to think about too hard. And that's one of the ways that distinguishes my photograph from someone else's snapshot.
You know what's interesting is that you mentioned, about snapshots and photographs and stuff. One of my biggest complaints when I have someone else take a photo for me is no one ever has the eye for the composition that I do. So when I'm trying to get a family shot of me and my family, and I'm like, oh, no, that's the wrong angle. I don't like it like that. So that's a really important aspect of being a photographer.
I mean, it absolutely is. I mean, there is only the photography at its core does rely on the technology, which is ever changing, ever evolving, going back to the era of film photography to today. And that's going to be a constant. There's kind of this little gearheady portion of photography. But at the end of the day, you have to know how to compose an image. There's an old cliche about Ansel Adams that they used to say about him, that he could make a rock look like a person. By the same token, he could make a person look like a rock. And that's just to say that, I mean, just because you're in that moment, you're pointing a camera at something, that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to make a good photograph on it. You have to figure out, one of the essence of landscape photography is figuring out where to stand, how high to stand. I had a photographer friend of mine that was about 5'2", and one of the important life lessons that he taught me as someone that's 6'3", occasionally you need to get down low.
Believe me, I'm like the person that'll lay in the grass to get a shot.
Exactly, and those sorts of different angles, and trying and experimenting and working a scene, that's how you go from taking something that's very pedestrian to finding something that's compelling, that will engage people, will bring out some sort of emotion in your audience.
We'll talk about your work specifically. You're obviously a landscape photographer. So where are you going to get these beautiful landscapes? What's your inspiration?
My inspiration is really a passion for exploration. That drives all the creative side of my photography. So today in my booth, I have work on display from Colorado, California, Finland, Norway, Iceland, Antarctica. I like to travel. I like to work at the edges of nature. So today you've got stuff that is taken in front of volcanoes, is taken in deep Arctic environments. I've got a work on display that's from a storm chasing experience, following tornadoes and supercell thunderstorms. So finding these pockets of adventure, for lack of a better phrase. But that's really what fuels the work of just trying to go out there and experience Mother Nature in a way that most people can't.
Yeah, it's very evident that you are experiencing it in a way that, and you're traveling to places that a lot of people have never been.
Exactly, and anything that I can do to help my audience engage with Mother Nature, if I can inspire people to go to places like Zion National Park in Utah, or wherever, however my audience chooses to engage with nature, if I can inspire some of that, that means I'm doing my work well as a photographer and helping to build advocates for future wilderness preservation and all that sort of good stuff. So.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about the printing process? Obviously there's some sort of sheen that you have on the prints, and they're a large format. I mean, you have like a triptych over here.
Everything that you see on the wall at my booth, these are all printed on aluminum. So the artwork is infused directly into the metal itself. There's no paper, no glass. The aluminum is a reflective surface, and that gives you a very rich, very luminous piece of artwork. It's also very durable as well. So these are designed to hang as is without any additional matting or framing. And one of the things I like about that is it gives you as a viewer a real sense of immersion into the landscape. I'll have a lot of people that'll come to my booth this weekend and say, it feels like I can walk into some of these images, or it feels like in this case I'm looking out a window. And the more that I can take you into these individual places, even if you've never been there, or even if you never had the chance to be there, if I can give you that sense of being in that place, that means you're going to build a connection with the piece.
Totally. I mean, I can't stop staring at that storm chasing one. That's such an amazing image to catch and be a part of. It reminds me of the movie Twister.
Absolutely. Funny thing, I was working with a professional storm chaser to get that image, and that was one of the first things he said to me is this is not going to be like the movie Twister. It comes up all the time in his profession, I think. But
well, it was a great movie.
It definitely is. So.
Well, David, do you have a website where people can check out your work if they can't make it to the art fair?
Absolutely. I am at fourcrowsphotography.com. I'm happy to ship anywhere, and certainly there is a good deal more work online than what you see here at the booth today. But obviously, if you have a chance to come down to the show this weekend, it is a wonderful event year in, year after. It's an Ann Arbor institution, as you well know, so come on down to the show.
Well, thank you so much for chatting, and best of luck at the Ann Arbor Art Fair.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure as always.
Hi, I'm Jamie Chu, and this is CTN at the Art Fair. So I have here some really great woodwork. Could you kind of tell me what medium you chose and why you chose it?
The medium's wood. I've been doing this for 35 years, and I don't know.
And what made you want to participate in the Ann Arbor Art Fair specifically?
This is our 5th year here. We've done well every time we've been here.
Nice.
It's a nice town. We always have fun.
And where are you guys centered out of? Where do you guys travel from?
North of Pittsburgh.
And how's that drive?
About 4.5 hours.
And how do you move all of your stuff? Like, what is the configuration of packaging everything, and what does that look like?
We put everything in nylon bags, and they're supposed to be waterproof, but yesterday when the water came down through here, it sort of flooded everything, but we got everything dried out now, and we're good to go.
Nice. And can you show us your favorite piece and tell us about it, or something that you're really proud of in here?
These ones here are all done completely by hand with no electric tools. The rest of them are all, I use electric tools on. They're the most fun to do, but they take so long, so.
And how long would you say an average piece takes?
Probably a half hour to an hour, depending on what it is.
Nice. And how do you source your materials?
We cut some of our own wood off our property and get some from a sawmill.
And can you walk us through a day of the Ann Arbor Art Fair, just kind of your regular artist day, how many folks come through, fun stuff like that?
A lot of people come through. It's a long day till 9 o'clock at night. Yeah. But the people seem great. They're all friendly. And it's fun.
Perfect. And is there anything else that I might have missed that you wanted to add about your work or anything else?
Not really. Just come down and check it out.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Pets are members of our families. We don't want them lost or hurt, so why not take proper precautions licensing your dog?
Licensing your dog is a great way to ensure they make their way back home if they wander off unexpectedly.
It's also a Michigan state law. You could be fined if your dog is older than 6 months and does not have a license.
But don't worry, it's super affordable. Licenses range from $6 to $30, depending on how long it's valid and whether or not your dog is fixed. Remember, it's required to show proof of current rabies vaccination when applying, so you can be assured that licensed dogs are healthy and happy.
The first step is to print and fill out an application from the city website.
The second step is to mail it or drop it off at the city clerk's office, located on the 2nd floor of City Hall, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., Monday through Friday.
When you license your pup, you open up a world of fun for them too. With registration, you're eligible to purchase permits for Ann Arbor's off-leash dog parks, Swift Run, Olson, and Broadway.
So let's keep Ann Arbor's dogs happy, healthy, and safe. Visit a2gov.org/dog license or call the city clerk at 734-794-6140 for more information.
Veterans Memorial Park includes the Veterans Memorial Sports Complex, featuring an outdoor pool and indoor ice arena, lit baseball and softball diamonds, tennis courts, a 30,000 square foot skate park, meeting room, and a park shelter available to rent. The area was originally known as the Washtenaw County Farm Grounds. The park was given the name Veterans Memorial Park in 1955 in honor of veterans of the U.S. military and is commemorated by a memorial located at the southwest corner of the park. Volunteers play a large role in helping with maintenance and beautification at the park by removing litter, planting flowers, weeding, mulching, maintaining gardens, and helping to facilitate fun events at the ice rink. The Veterans Memorial Sports Complex includes a regulation-sized rink of 85 feet by 200 feet with spectator seating for 800. The facility's meeting room is available to the public to rent for birthday parties, holiday get-togethers, business meetings, and more. Outside, there are maintained paths, a seasonal sledding hill, and a ballot box located at the Pool and Ice Arena parking lot. For more information, visit a2gov.org/parks.
Hello, I'm Jelani, and this is CTN at the 2023 Art Fair. I'm here with Jana Epstein. How are you?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Excellent. This is some absolutely beautiful work. I'm seeing very intricate framing. I'm seeing well-composed photos. What's your inspiration?
So, I've been an artist since I can remember. I started out as an illustrator. There's a bug in my face. I started out as an illustrator, doing like graphite pencil, colored pencil drawings. And then I ended up double majoring in photography and graphic design. Graphic all by hand, layout by hand, lettering by hand, no computers. Yes. And then that's where that industry went. So I didn't want to do computer. I am very much hands-on, touch, feel, smell. So I started doing the art shows about 24 years ago and have been doing about 25 to 28 shows a year all over the country. Wow. And I'm still film, so I'm still old school, darkroom. Nice. So traditional darkroom technique, and then once I'm washed and dried from the darkroom, I add the color by hand to each piece.
Oh, wow, okay.
So very much of a lost art. Yes. Used to see it on portraits, right? Before there was colored film, you might see like the cheeks or the lips or article of clothing. Typically back in the day, it would be a male that would do the photography, a female would do the tinting.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, this is incredible. So it's analog, very analog.
Yes.
And these are legacy skills that you're continuing to honor, right?
Absolutely.
So
keep it alive.
What is it about, what's your aversion to digital? I know a lot of people say it's easier, you get quicker turnaround.
I just don't. I feel like, for me, like I said, it's really about being hands-on, and I don't think you get this look on digital. You can't get this look on digital. I think that there's really good digital out there, but I've also seen really bad, really poor digital. So for me, it's really just a matter of personal wanting to do how I do it, and just I love the process. I love the darkroom. I grew up with pictures of my mom, like with the seeing the hand tinting on the photographs. So for me, there's some nostalgia in it. And then my frames too, these are reclaimed materials. So they're ceiling tile and old wood molding. And so I pick those from salvage. I do just as much work to my framing as I do my imagery. In the end, for me, it really is about marrying the two together and creating a one-of-a-kind piece. I think that too often we see things hastily framed. I'm a big believer that a frame really should be, an extension or a completion of a piece. So I really try to see that through to the end. I really try to be thoughtful about the whole process.
Extremely, I can tell. Each piece definitely has a very unique touch. Like, it's very personal. I can see it. I almost feel it.
Thank you.
I'm very curious about some of these spaces that you shoot. I mean, they look very rustic, almost abandoned, liminal in a way. Where are we in some of these?
All over, different places. This is from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. This is actually in Marquette. It was an abandoned train car. It was a moving diner at one point. This is my front yard in Atlanta. I have stuff from, a lot of my doors are, Spain. I've got stuff from all over though. Whatever, my camera's always with me, so that to me is the easiest part of how I see. Does that make sense? And then when I'm behind my lens, it's really more about composition and texture, so I don't even think about color until I'm sitting down to add that color, so it's an instinct for me what color to make something, what to leave black and white.
I see. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about what the darkroom is like? I've seen this honestly in movie portrayals, but is it red color? Is there?
So it's called a safe light. So that's that red light that, but so I'm using an enlarger. A lot of times they just show you like the end result in the movie. You just see them hanging up the, I'm using something called an enlarger where you put the negative into a negative carrier. The light shines down on it's a silver, gelatin paper, and then I develop it in the developing tray. And then it goes into something called a stop bath to stop the developing process. And then it goes into a chemical called a fixer. So that allows you to bring it neutralizes it, so you can bring it into the light. If you don't use the fixer, but then you got to wash it too, by the way. So after the fixer, you're washing it. Okay. But if you were to just do the stop bath and then turn on the light, the paper would just turn completely black. So there's different steps, and then you use a hypoclear to shorten the wash time, and then it washes, and then I squeegee it, and then I lay it down to dry flat. So, yeah.
Incredible. And can you take us through that similar explanation of the frames? I mean,
God.
I know, right? The colors, I see paint.
So some of it is newer tin, and that I have to do a whole process. I have to sand it first, and then I have to do a rusting agent, a stop arrest for the rust. Then I start painting it with layers and layers of paint, and then I'm using 80 grit to 60 grit sandpaper. I'm using a hand disc sander, palm sander, and then I'm sanding it down to get to the tin type. So I like to bring up the tin type. Some of it on the older tin, like this this is older tin. So I'm using anywhere from like 15 to 20 pieces of sandpaper just to get to where I want on the pieces. Same thing with the wood. I do the same type of thing with the wood. Those, of course, I don't have to do any pre, like the agent or anything like that. I don't have to do the rusting agent on that, obviously. But and then they're all sealed with a clear coat sealer in the end, so it protects what I've done to it and also gives it a finished look. But definitely my frames come last in my process. My imagery is always first, so I'm never compromising an image to match a piece of wood or tin. Sometimes I might compromise the tin or wood to match the piece, if that makes sense. So.
Makes a lot of sense. No, these are incredible works of art, and thank you for sharing your time. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before?
I think I've said it all. I just hope I have a really good art fair, so yeah.
You will. Command it.
Yes. I am. I showed up, so that's the first part, and then just being present in the booth, and I love what I do, so and appreciate people loving what I do too, so it means a lot.